Oh, hey, what's up everyone? I'm just out here testing out a few weapon-mounted lights. Today we'll be comparing the Olight Odin Mini, Olight Odin, and the Odin Turbo weapon-mounted lights. I haven't had the opportunity to compare all three of these models to each other, so let's get to it. Looking at the Olight Odin, the Odin Mini, and the Odin Turbo, we see all sorts of different features on each of these lights. From a small tactical package, to insane lumen count, to a crazy light throw. They all offer their own different feature, and each one of them goes on sale every once in a while, so you can usually save a good bit of money on these guys. Like, maybe right now. So let's break them all down and see which one you prefer. Let's start by unboxing the Odin Turbo, show you how it mounts up to the weapon, do some testing comparisons of each light out in the dark with Cody, and try to do some room clearing with each, and then we'll see how well each one of them works with an optic. And then finally we'll round it all off and we'll give you our recommendations based on our mission sets and needs. Let's start out with what comes in the box with this. Okay, so here's our actual box for our Odin Turbo if you want to see what it comes in. Now on the back is all the actual specifications and information if you need to know all the details of it. Alright, let's go ahead and open it. One thing cool, they always have some cool little message from Olight written on the inside of the box, and then they include this little yellow information card to show you, things you need to remove and instructions. Alright, getting this light out though, this thing's looking pretty amazing. I'm liking this color already. Check that out. Alright, what's on the front here? Oh, okay, so this has a little thing you gotta remove on the front. Let's go ahead and remove the one from the rear too so we can test this out. So let's make sure to remove this tab on the battery, and then we can reinstall the rear cap on here. Then we'll take this new one off the front. Hadn't seen that before, but that's interesting. But check this thing out. I love the color of this and just the finish. Oh, okay, and as always, it's got that sawtooth design on the front. I'm really a big fan of the way this thing looks. It uses the same housing as like the Odin and Odin Mini, so you'll see a lot of similarities in the actual design. I really love the way it looks too, and has the same push button on those two. It's just larger. And if oh, wow, that's interesting. Look at that light. That's new and weird. We're gonna have to play with that for sure. Alright, so what else comes in this box here? Looks like a little pull tab here on the side. Oh, okay, so check this out. Looks like we have like some instructions and some other whatnots in here. Alright, let's pull this out and see what that is. See what all it's talking about. Oh, okay, so inside here is our actual touchpad. So this is pretty cool because the color actually matches the actual light. And see, the touchpad's actually pretty good. Good and tactile. Yep, like that. If you haven't seen this before, how it connects up is using a magnet. So it can connect up and you can actually lock it in place so you can't just pull it off. So now if I pull on it, see, it doesn't come off. And if you pull on the bottom of it, then it removes easily. See? It's actually a pretty cool design. I like the way that works. Alright, so then what else is in this box? Okay, so we have our zip ties. So that's cool. So you use these zip ties when you want to actually connect up the actual touchpad. If you can't get a good secure connection, you can just use those zip ties. Alright, so what else is in here? Oh, we got this box of goodies here. Alright, a whole bunch of things on this. Let's just open up and see what all it's talking about. So the first one it's trying to show us is, okay, so we got our plug. So this is the normal rechargeable battery plug. So this is cool because it actually uses a rechargeable battery. What's this? Oh, okay, so here's the actual mount that you have to use in order to connect it up. It does connect to a Picatinny rail, and I also want you to be aware that it doesn't come with a Picatinny rail, so you may need to buy yourself a PIC rail segment in order to connect it up. So I got one in M-Lock. Well, I'll show you how to connect all that up. Then what else is in here? Okay, so we also have the tools to connect everything up and extra screws. Oh, just let me show you how this connects up too. So you can just slide it into this groove here, and then it actually stays in place. You can put it on the side or the top when you connect it up, and it stays in place pretty firmly. We actually tested this out. And see, I have it unlocked, and if I pull on it, it doesn't move. But if you push it in, then you can take it off. And if you turn it to lock, then if you push it in or pull on it or anything, it doesn't go anywhere. We're really surprised how well this thing works. Alright, that's everything that comes in the box though. The Odin, Odin Mini, and Odin Turbo all come with the same things in the box, so I'm not going to show you that 2 more times. Let's start with all the tech specs so you know all like the nerd stuff of these things. Alright, let's start with the Odin Mini. This is the smallest and most compact of the group at 4.5 inches and weighing 6.2 ounces. Each light in the lineup has 2 modes, a low power and a high power mode. The low power of the Odin Mini is 200 lumens and lasts for 5 hours. The high power is 1250 lumens, technically. It actually steps down slowly after 6 minutes for a total time of a little over an hour. I'm a big fan of the Odin Mini due to its compact size and the power of this light. It's a great combination. All right, let's look at the bigger brother, the original Odin. The Odin steps up in size a bit and takes the middle spot at 5.3 inches and weighing 7.6 ounces. As we said, all the Odins have 2 light modes. In this one, the low mode is 300 lumens and lasts 8 hours, and the high mode is 2000 lumens that steps down after 2 minutes for a total time of 2.6 hours. So we see some added size from the Odin Mini, but we also gain a few extra hours of runtime. But next, let's take a look at the new guy, the Odin Turbo. The Turbo is the largest of the 3, but also does some very different things. The size of the Turbo is 6.2 inches and weighs 8.8 ounces. This low light mode is 90 lumens that lasts for 7.5 hours, and a high mode that steps down from 330 lumens after 30 minutes with a total runtime of 3.5 hours. I'm sure you noticed that very different light cone coming from the Odin Turbo, and we'll test all that out when it gets dark. But these are all weapon mounted lights, so let me show you how all these mount up. But first, I got something really cool to show you. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but this is the actual Riker grip that I love to use. But one issue with using the Riker grip is there's no space to put the light on, so I can't really reach over to do that. But here we have the DC mount that they just made that actually integrates into the Riker grip. It comes with a longer screw so you can replace the one that's actually used on the Riker grip. So to install it, we just remove the screw, take the washer off of the one you currently have and put it on the longer screw, and you can put the DC mount on. And then the actual Riker grip is ambidextrous, so you can use either side, so righty or lefty, it'll work just fine. And then go ahead and reinstall your screw and make sure to torque this down nicely. Now check this out. We actually have a spot for a touchpad with our Riker grip. I particularly like to use the DC mount on handguards like the Aero S1, where there's not a good place to mount switches. Anyway though, let's get back to this light install. Alright, I went ahead and installed that M-LOK pick rail, and now we can actually install the light mount. Just tighten it down with the tools that are included, and you'll be good to go. See, it just slides right into position. And then we can put our touchpad connector on the back, lock it in place. What I'd like to do is actually feed this through the rail and then under the DC mount so it hides all that extra wire. Then we can just lay it on top here, click it, and connect it into place. And look at that. We got everything all connected up and good to go. And see, as I've showed you, it doesn't actually come off. You can lock it in place so then you don't pull on it, doesn't come off, and you can take it off easily if you need to. Yeah, I really love the way this whole thing works. And taking a look at our actual touchpad, you can see it has multifunction. So if you tap it, it'll turn on and stay on, and then if you just hold it down, it'll stay on. So it's nice that it has both functions, that you can hold it down and it'll turn off, and then you can just tap it and it'll turn on and off on its own. Really good little touchpad. So now you know how all these lights work and how they all mount up. But we really need to wait till it's dark out in order for us to test and compare them all. So let's wait till it gets a little bit darker, and then we'll go visit Cody. He has a lot more land that we can actually test and compare these lights on. So it's dark out now, and we have all our Odin lights, and I have Cody with me, so let's go test all these out. So what do you want to do first?
I'm kind of curious to see what the new guy's like.
All right, let's give it a whirl.
So as we've seen, the Odin Turbo has a super small cone of light at only 330 lumens. What's interesting is that there is zero light spill. This makes a single spot super bright, but you can't really see any of the surrounding area. It really acts like a super small spotlight.
As you can see, it's got a really tight cone. Nothing we've ever seen in any other Olight so far, so we'll have to keep on testing. Let's go on to the Odin.
The Odin has the most powerful lumen count of the bunch and starts with a low mode of 300 lumens. It has a nice light splash to illuminate the surrounding area. The high mode then kicks up a notch to 2000 lumens, which lights up pretty much everything inside of 200 meters. Wow, okay, so there's a huge difference that we're seeing when we have 2000 lumens that go 300 meters, and then we have 300 lumens that go 1,000 meters. So we're definitely gonna need to test these some more. I wanna do some throw tests. But let's look at the Odin Mini next.
The Odin Mini is the smallest of the group, but it still packs a punch. The 200 lumen mode has a nice light splash to illuminate the field without blinding you. Then it jumps up to 1250 lumens in the high mode. This brightness is nice because it lights everything up without being as bright as the sun and blinding you.
Here you can see a side-by-side comparison of the Odin on the left and the Odin Mini on the right. The differences in the light become quite subtle when you have them side by side. The Odin has a ton more power, but the Odin Mini holds its own in a smaller package. Showing the Odin and the Odin Turbo together, we see how wildly different these lights are designed. The Odin maximizes lumens with a nice light splash to highlight the entire area, where the Odin Turbo maximizes distance with the super tight cone with no light spill from the edges.
As you can see, the Odin and the Odin Mini are pretty similar in their brightness and their cones.
But we're definitely seeing a huge difference in the cone and the throw from this Odin Turbo. So let's do some throw tests and see how far this thing can go. Starting our throw comparison with the Odin Turbo, we tested with the trees at the end of the road at about 500 yards. Here's the Odin Turbo turned on, and it can easily see past the end of the road and highlight the trees further in the distance. You can see how the Odin Turbo has a much longer throw and could easily go even further than the distance to the trees shown here.
Next in the throw test is the Odin Mini. The 200 lumen mode has a bit of a challenge in getting any throw, and it is a bit difficult to see anything at all. Switching to the high mode though, there is no challenge in seeing the entire area and further down the road. The Odin Mini only advertises a throw of 240 meters, but it does very well in lighting up the entire area.
Finally, we have the original Odin. The 300 lumen mode does better in seeing further down the road, but kick it up on high power and you can see everything. It's awesome how it lights up the entire area around you.
Here you can see the Odin Turbo and the Odin compared in terms of throw distance. The Odin has a nice light splash to highlight the entire area, while the Odin Turbo has the ultra distance to highlight any tree people that may be watching.
All right, when I first saw the advertisement for the Turbo, I was having a hard time determining what situation you would use this flashlight in. But as you can see, it's got a extremely far throw. So I mean, spotlighting with it or any kind of hunting for game or anything like that, it may have a practical use, but clearing a house or something like that, I don't think this would really fit into that.
So as Cody's saying, one thing I'm noticing is the cone is a lot smaller. So once you get in about 300 yards, you have a hard time seeing anything because the cone's so small. And then I find myself preferring either the Odin Mini or the Odin. I really do like the Odin, but I also like the compact size of the Odin Mini. But as you're saying, I think it would be a hard time to clear a house with it. So tell you what, let's try and do some room clearing and see how that goes with them.
Starting with the Odin Turbo, let's see how well this thing can do. As you can see, the tight cone only highlights what it's aimed at. There is no light splash to highlight anything else in the room, which makes it a less than ideal light for indoor use.
Next, let's clear the room with our Odin Mini. The low light mode has a great splash without an insane light level to both highlight the surrounding area and not blind ourselves from the light. The high power mode just blasts everything and is like turning on a light switch.
Finally, we have the original Odin. This 300 lumen mode that will last 8 hours is perfect for room clearing as it blends battery life and brightness. The light splash in this mode helps to highlight the entire area nicely. Putting the light in the second mode turns on the surface of the sun that burns out the eyes of anyone who you may come in contact with.
Most of us looking at the Olight are looking for a weapon mounted light. So as you can see from our demonstration inside, the Turbo may not be an effective light for that. However, the Odin and the Odin Mini are perfect for clearing rooms. Are we going to mount that thing up anytime soon?
To a red dot? Maybe with some fancy editing. Roll it now. Look, we're magically back in my yard again. So I mounted the camera behind an actual red dot so you can see what these lights look like when you're looking through a red dot and have them mounted up like an actual weapon light. All right, let's start with the Odin Mini. Here you see how the touchpad goes into the max brightness of 1250 lumens, and you can see how the light splash highlights your peripheral vision. The brightness of the light does a good job in highlighting our target and our entire yard over the 30-yard distance. This light works very well behind a red dot, and its small size combined with its lumen output makes it a great choice as a weapon light. Next, let's see how the Odin stacks up. As you can see, the 2000 lumen light is extremely bright. The light splash is the same size and design as the Odin Mini and easily highlights the areas surrounding the red dot. The Odin performs just as great as the Odin Mini and is a fantastic choice to step up to if you want that extra bit of illumination and a few extra hours of runtime. And finally, let's see how the Odin Turbo's unique design translates into a weapon-mounted light. Turning on the touchpad engages the 330 lumen light mode. While this light is plenty bright, the cone of light is very small, almost the same size as the housing of the red dot. The light also has no spill, So while you can spotlight the center target easily, you lose all peripheral vision. Up close, it doesn't work nearly as well as the Odin or Odin Mini as a weapon-mounted light. Maybe if you're shooting at like 700 yards though, at night. So the thing that I found interesting was the actual cone of the Odin Turbo is actually the same size of the red dot housing, so it makes things a little bit challenging because you lose all of your peripheral vision. You can really only see exactly what this light's shining at. Whereas we saw with the Odin and the Odin Turbo, you have all of your peripheral vision also with the red dot because you have all of the light splash.
So I think my assumptions about the Turbo from the advertisements that I've seen are correct. I don't find that this will be a good weapon mounted light for our uses, at least at TLD. However, if you want to flag down maybe the International Space Station or something like that, that might be your ticket.
Yeah, they're going to see you coming. And as Cody brought up, it's not going to be the best in a tactical scenario, and I know that's kind of where we're focusing on. It would be really good if you're going to flag something down, if you want to highlight something at like 800 or 900 yards, that's perfect for it. But I would be concerned in a tactical scenario because the light is so bright, it actually gives away your position very easily. You can easily tell where this light is originating from.
I don't know how many people remember the old Maglite D-cell flashlights, but one of the features that I miss on those was being able to control that beam by just rotating the head of the flashlight. That would be a cool feature to have on this Turbo. If you could adjust the beam and the throw by moving the head on the flashlight, that would be a cool feature.
And I agree with Cody. In its current configuration, the Odin Turbo has that long throw and this small cone, but how cool would it be if you could adjust the head and then change it so it just has a large cone and a short throw? I would love to have that adjustability, and I think that's where they can take it to the next level with the Odin Turbo 2 Olight.
Call us.
So then from a weapon-mounted light scenario that we would want to see at TLD, I really prefer the Odin Mini. I think its small size and its pretty similar lumen capability to the Odin Turbo makes it my personal favorite. I think it's lightweight, rechargeable, and easy to use, and I'm probably not going to bang it into everything. So if I had to pick one, the Odin Mini is going to be the one that I would go with.
I agree, Walsh. The Odin Mini may be slightly lighter than the Odin and definitely lighter than the Turbo. Also, you got to be concerned with maybe getting hung up on some other gear that you may be carrying. So definitely the Odin Mini is the winner in my book.
So I hope our comparison of the Odin Turbo, the Odin, and the Odin Mini was helpful because they all have kind of a little bit of different feature sets, and you're going to want to see what each one does before you purchase whichever flashlight you need. And hopefully now you can see which one you actually want to use. As always though, thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. You're the ones that make all of this possible, and thanks everybody that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below on which one you want to use on your kit. You want to say something funny?
I already did. I think you should put that cockroach one on there.
Okay, I could do that.
That was a flying cockroach that landed on the camera.